I've been invited by Mazda Canada to participate in their first drive event for the 2021 Mazda 3 GT all-wheel drive with the turbo engine. Now, normally we'd be doing this on location somewhere, but given what's going on in the world with the pandemic, they've decided to make things a lot safer and bring the cars to us. So I have this one here in the driveway, and I get to spend a few days with it to see everything about this car. But not only just to drive it and experience it, I have a lot more information about why Mazda decided to make this car and why it's definitely going to be something you're going to be interested in if you want something that's fun to drive, affordable, and looks darn good. Now, Mazda says that they're all grown up now. This is not a Mazda Speed, and I know a lot of people thought that this would be the return of it when they added all-wheel drive, and then now they've added the turbo, that it made sense that they would add the Mazda Speed back. But Mazda feels that they have matured quite a bit over the last 10 years and feel that that image is from the past, and they want to look forward to the future, and that future is going after the premium segment, not so much the other competitors in the consumer class when it comes to a compact all-wheel drive car. Now, I want to mention a couple changes for 2021 before we get into the meat and potatoes of this. If you're interested to know everything there is to know about the new generation Mazda 3, I suggest taking a look at the video we did back on the 2019 GT with the premium package. This will be a supplemental video to that. So watch that one first, get all the details, and then come back here to see what's new. The base GX model has gone up about $2,500 in the 2 years since we've driven it last, and the other trims have gone up as well. But Mazda isn't just raising the price, they've trickled down some of the features and options from the higher trims or packages to make that price a little bit more justifiable. The GT gets many of the premium package features that we featured in 2019, but now there are new features on the premium package to make it worth going up to, including a new 360-degree camera system, traffic jam assist, and front parking sensors. Now, I want to mention real quick about those cameras. Mazda says now that they have completely redesigned the infotainment system. The connection between those cameras and the infotainment system is completely digital, and the video quality out of them is superior to what we've seen on previous models. So you get much better camera quality. It's a compact car with 360 cameras, plus the front and rear parking sensors. You do get quite a bit. But let's talk about this engine. 2.5-liter turbocharged engine produces 250 horsepower when using 93 octane and 320 pound-feet of torque, again when using 93 octane. Even if you're using regular gas, you're still getting quite a bit of power out of a pretty tiny car. Now, you might think that Mazda just took the same engine from the CX-9 and dropped it into the Mazda 3, but it was a little bit more complicated than just a plug-and-play setup. They had to adapt this to fit in a smaller vehicle. They had to adjust some of the components in order to fit in the Mazda 3's chassis. They use an air-to-water intercooler, increases the cooling capacity with a new intake tract on top of other methods that they did in order to fit this in and make it work for the Mazda 3. Because of it, the front springs are also 15% heavier than they are on the regular Mazda 3 to adjust for the extra weight of the turbo engine. Now, this also means that they needed a better transmission. They added the larger FZ3 6-speed automatic transmission in order to accommodate the extra torque from this engine. Now, you could ask, well, why aren't they using an 8 or 9-speed transmission? So many manufacturers are moving on to it. But Mazda feels that it would take away from the overall driving experience. More gears means more shifting. That reduces the amount of pleasure you're going to get because as the car shifts, you're losing a little bit of power. You're losing that momentum as it shifts into gears. So Mazda is saying that they want to stick with the 6-speed just to make the driving experience better. And even though fuel economy does suffer slightly compared to a vehicle with an 8 or 10-speed transmission, they say that they are making up for that loss through the engine. Now, how does the turbo's chassis and tuning compare to the regular 2.5-liter Mazda 3 all-wheel drive? Well, they say that the turbo has received unique tuning along with software to react better to the driver's input and driving style. Mazda set out to create a vehicle that was both enjoyable to drive on the twisty, winding roads on the weekend, as well as being stuck in traffic. So you could buy one car and enjoy it throughout the year, all times, anywhere you take it. And you and I will experience that together for the first time as we take this car along a pre-planned route Mazda Canada has devised for us that takes us north of Montreal to put this car through its paces. The turbo car also receives G Vectoring Control Plus, which helps to create a consistent steering and cornering control, and the overall car adapts to the way that you're driving. Mazda says that they have really spent a lot of time making sure that this car performs the way that they wanted it to. For example, if you're coming into a corner, the car will not downshift because it knows that you need to have that power coming out. Or if you're coming to a stop, you're slowing down on a straight, it will downshift automatically to get you into the right gear so that when you start going again, you'll be ready to go with the most amount of power available. G Vectoring Control will shift downforce to the front in order to create better cornering, or put it to the back when accelerating. There's a lot of engineering that goes into this car. It really isn't just putting a bigger engine into it and calling it a day. Mazda's overall philosophy is to not replace the driver. They want to enhance the driver through their smart technology and the way that the car handles, performs, and drives on the road. So what better way to find out if that's true than to take it on a road test? Let's get behind the wheel. You can join me as we go on this pre-planned route to see how this car performs, handles, and drives, and everything else you need to know if you're in the market for the 2021 Mazda 3 GT all-wheel drive turbo. Hello viewer, you join us on our little road test here, planned out by Mazda Canada. Currently we're just northeast of Saint Jerome, which is northwest of Montreal. It's about a 30-minute drive up into the mountains, and we've been on our road test for a little bit now, getting through some traffic in town. But because I'm coming from such a long distance, I had a chance to try out some of the new technology on this car, like the traffic jam assist. Mazda says that it's a way to help drivers alleviate some of the strain that comes when you're driving in traffic. The way it works is using the active cruise control, lane keep assist, and camera system. It'll essentially follow the vehicle in front of you and stay in the lane. Now, it's not a hands-off autonomous system. You still have to have your hands on the wheel, but you don't have to be as worried as you're driving along. It will do a lot of it for you. And unlike some systems that I've tested, some of the active cruise control where you're in traffic, where it'll just stop the vehicle, sometimes it won't go, and sometimes it'll give you an annoying beep to say, oh, the car in front of you is moving, you know, it's time to go. I found that the traffic jam assist on this worked very well, keeping in line with the traffic, moving as the car in front of me was moving, slowing down when it needed to, and stopping if need be. So it worked out really, really well. You can enable it just on the steering wheel and use it if you like. So good stuff there. It'll help if you do drive this year-round and you get stuck in traffic on your way to work or wherever it may be. It'll make life just a little bit easier. Now, how about some more spirited driving? Right now, we're just in a residential, hilly area here. We're doing the speed limit of 50 kilometers an hour, so we're not doing anything too quick, but I gotta say that this performs really well. I'm in sport mode, I'm in manual shift mode, I've kept it in third gear, and we're gonna be doing manual right now, and then we'll go into automatic, because as I mentioned outside, Mazda has tuned the vehicle in sport mode to work really well, to shift automatically at the right point based on how you're driving. So we want to be able to test that out as much as driving it in manual shift mode. But these roads are pretty twisty, and I have to say that this thing is a lot of fun. Even doing just the 50 kilometers an hour, it goes into the corners really well. Look at that. I mean, these are pretty sharp turns, very blind turns as well, a lot of grade changing. And I gotta say that it's doing a really good job. I'm seated right where I need to be. I don't move around. A lot of cars that we drive in this segment, you get pushed around in your seat. This hugs you, but it's not the seat that's hugging you, it's the technology, it's the mechanics of this car that keep you in place rather than the seat belt and the bolsters on the seat. So if you want an experience that isn't just being thrown around and whatever may be, this is the way to go. I feel really comfortable in here. Now, what else can I tell you about the turbo? It's effortless power. That's the one thing that I think people will be surprised about. This is not going to be a performance monster. It's not the Volkswagen Golf R. It's not going to get off the line insanely fast and just rip the crap out of it. But the way that this has been tuned is just effortless power, giving you that boost, having turbo so you can actually get off the line and enjoy it without actually having to rip the crap out of it all the time. And the fuel economy has been pretty good too. We averaged 6.9 liters on our 100 kilometer test loop, which is really good for an all-wheel drive sedan like this. Usually we're seeing low sixes, a little bit about maybe high fives depending on the type of car if it's front wheel drive only. So this is, you know, about a full liter per 100 kilometers more but it's all-wheel drive, which is great. And you can enjoy it year-round, even if you don't live in an area that you need to have all-wheel drive to stay on the road. You just want to have it for fun. The way this car is tuned, you get the maximum performance out of it. You can send power to all four wheels, and it will divert power based on how you're driving and what you're doing. Now, I can't really do any launches in this area that we're in because it is just too hilly and the speed limit is pretty low, but we will get a 0 to 100 kilometer time back in our area once we've wrapped up our drive here. But I gotta say, if you like to spend your weekends going on the road, taking your car for a drive, then this is going to be a very high contender for you. If you just want to buy one car, you don't want to necessarily have a vehicle that you only take out on the weekend, you want to just do everything with one, then this could be a great way to go. Because I'm telling you right now, like, this is really smooth, it's so quiet, and the performance is there. If we throw it down, even though this is an older 6-speed transmission, in the sense that everybody's moved on to bigger gears and more performance oriented like dual clutches, it still shifts smoothly. You almost can't feel it. Like, look, shift down, instant there. Ooh, yeah, it's good. That's why it's so important that Mazda explained how this car was tuned, because I think a lot of people might just assume that it is just the turbo engine slapped in a smaller car, but it's not. There's so much more that went into this to make this car perform the way that it does, that you really just lose out on it if all you're doing is looking online and seeing, oh, it's got a turbo, okay, 250 horsepower with 93 octane, okay, done, moving on to the next car. Because compared to some of the other vehicles we've driven, like the Volkswagen GTI would be really close in terms of performance and price, I mean, you're getting all-wheel drive, because the Golf R is a whole lot more. So compared to the GTI, you're getting all-wheel drive, similar performance, a much nicer interior in here, way more technology, and you can tell that Mazda has done a considerable amount of work to make this the way that it is. I'm enjoying it a whole lot. I never thought I'd do that with a compact sedan, but I am. Okay, so I've put the car back into automatic mode. As we take this corner, it doesn't downshift because it knows that I really don't want to be downshifting as I'm going into a corner, but then coming out of it, we're good. Oh, buddy. Oh, it's like a roller coaster. Jeez. Oh boy, and the roads are a little rough here. It's the only problem, but the car really eats it up. I'm surprised. Yeah, some of the bumps have been pretty brutal, and the car just eats it up. That heavier suspension on the front helps with the weight of the vehicle, but it also helps with the actual car and make it perform just a little bit better. One of the other things that Mazda did when they engineered this is they realized they needed a bit of a better steering system on this, so they added a little bit more strength to their steering system, and instead of just putting it on only the turbo, they said, you know what, this would probably be good on all the Mazda 3s, so every single one you buy, even if it's not the turbo all-wheel drive like this, will have the upgraded steering system, just to give you a little bit better control and better feel. Because I'm telling you right now, like, you can tell, if you closed my eyes in the sense that I didn't know what kind of car I was driving, I'd say it was a BMW. Well, I did promise you a 0 to 100 kilometer time, so let's get to it. 100. 6.78 seconds. Now, this isn't scientific. I'm using my phone just to see, so I'm sure that there is a bit of loss there from my latency. I usually find, especially when I tell you 100 on the camera, it's a little bit off, like half a second. So yeah, maybe about 6 seconds or so. Probably better if the conditions are ideal. It's wet, it's raining, we don't have performance tires, these are winters, but you get the idea. Now, oh yeah. 6.98, so I think that was worse. I don't even remember what we just did. Again, not ideal conditions, but then again, this is not meant to be a performance monster. The idea is to have smooth, controlled acceleration and performance without having to, chirp the tires all the time and waste a whole bunch of energy. I think that this is the ideal car if you're looking for a all-around good driver. You want something with all-wheel drive in a car, you don't want to pay a lot, and you want something just absolutely gorgeous on the inside here. I am really liking this. This is the car to buy. Hands down, without a doubt. If you're looking for one, if you're looking at like an entry-level BMW 2 Series or Mercedes A-Class, consider this first.